Hi there, Karen O'Connor of SingWise.com here, and today I'm going to talk about twang. I get asked very frequently about twang, what it is, what purposes it serves in our singing, how to train it, and how to apply it to the songs that we're singing. So I'm really excited about this particular video series because twang is actually one of my most favorite vocal topics because I've seen what it's done in my own singing and I've seen the great things that it's done in my students' singing. So in this video today, I am going to describe twang quality for you. I'm going to talk about how it's made physiologically, and then I'm going to explain what twang can do for your singing, and then finally give you some exercises that you can use to start to develop this quality in your own singing. And in the video that follows, I'm going to talk a little bit more about application and also do some more demonstration for you. So twang is a really bright, ringing quality that can be heard in all styles of singing and in all parts of our range. Now this quality is more perceptible in some speakers and singers than in others. For example, if you were to listen to the theme song for The Big Bang Theory, it's performed by the Bare Naked Ladies, you'll actually hear some pretty perceptible twang. And some voices are just inherently more bright and brassy than others. Those of us with more woodwind type instruments actually have to work at actively applying twang as a quality to our sounds. When twang is very perceptible and exaggerated, it can be described as kind of a teasy, bratty, whiny, na 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 kind of quality in our voices. When it's really exaggerated and taken to the extreme, it can be described as squawky. But I'm going to demonstrate for you in the next video how that quality can be used for great dramatic effect, especially in building a character in musical theater. Now, for those singers who tend to associate singing with only beautiful sounds, I can understand that twang probably sounds thoroughly unappealing at this point. But I'm going to explain to you as we go along here how twang can be incorporated into our sounds without diminishing vocal beauty. And in fact, it can actually contribute and assist vocal beauty. One more note, twang is also often associated with sort of a honky, nasally kind of sound, and there are indeed two types of twang. There's the nasal version and there's the oral version. And it's okay when you're first training this sound and you're experimenting with it, if the sound starts to filter a little bit through your nose, that's all right, but ultimately twang needs to be separated from nasality because we don't want to diminish our voice's carrying capacity or its resonance by filtering some of it through the nasal passages. Physiologically, twang is made by a narrowing of the epilaryngeal tube, which is a small portion of the larynx immediately above the vocal folds. Now this epilaryngeal tube is narrowed by the sphincter-type action of the airy epiglottis, which is almost like if you were to take the top of the larynx, the outlet of the larynx, and tighten little tiny purse strings over it. So when this tube is narrowed, which is not the same as constricted, it resonates at a high frequency, around 3,000 Hertz on average, which just so happens to be the frequency range to which the human ear is most sensitive, which means that it strikes the ear in a very powerful way. So essentially, when we use twang in our singing, we're maximizing our vocal output, our acoustic output, with the least amount of effort, which completely complies with my own philosophy of working smarter, not harder. Now, don't get me wrong, don't misunderstand me. I am not in any way suggesting that skillful singing requires no effort. All I'm saying is that when we use twang, we're basically tuning our resonance frequencies more effectively, and we're able to maximize our carrying power with less effort, with less pushing from here. And when we do that, we also get more efficiency of the vocal fold vibration. Not only does twang contribute to the carrying power of our voices, but it also assists with the intelligibility of our diction. Its brightness and ring help to provide a clarity that's really important when the singer's words need to be heard clearly, which is pretty much most of the time. In the case of musical theater, for example, where much of the storyline, if not all of it, is conveyed through song lyrics, this kind of clarity is absolutely critical to the success of the performance. Without it, the audience would have no idea what is happening in the story. Now, twang can also be used to train the various parts of our range. For example, in the upper range, the tendency for a lot of singers is to either push and strain and force and muscle and spread the sound, or to pull back and to under-energize and to get kind of airy. Well, twang is great because it meets us right in the middle. For those singers who tend to push and strain and muscle, twang provides good glottal closure and a strong acoustic signal, which helps the singer to rely more on resonance and less on pushing. And for the singer who tends toward airiness and more flute-like qualities or tends to pull back, twang assists that because, again, it provides a strong output and good glottal closure. Now, I call using twang when we go up higher, I call it going to more of the narrow or smaller space, which has nothing to do with narrowing here in the throat. It has to do with tuning the resonance in a more precise manner and finding that sort of laser-like focus in our tone. Now, twang is also really useful in the lower part of our range, where we tend to want to reach down with our larynx for those low notes, which can create a really dark, dull kind of sound that doesn't match the quality of the rest of our scale. Additionally, most of us, when we get down to the lower few notes in our scale, tend to introduce some vocal fry. It's that rattling, popping kind of sound, which can be kind of unattractive. We can use it for artistic effect, for example, at the start of a vocal phrase, but most of us would rather have a cleaner sound down in the lower range. So we can apply twang to brighten that lower part of our range and to also clean it up and to bias a few more notes. For example, if I sing down, 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 down. That's pretty much the bottom of my range. I might have another semitone there, but you can hear it's clean and it's not overly darkened. Twang is also a really important component of healthy, safe chest mix and belt technique. Because of its inherent loudness and brightness and ring and efficiency, twang prevents the singer or helps the singer avoid pushing and straining and muscling to try to make the voice louder. Now finally, twang encourages really good glottal closure and an efficiency of vocal fold vibration. So it's actually used in speech therapy to help those who are suffering from hypofunctional voice use, which is characterized by breathy phonation. So it can be used, twang can be used as a corrective device for breathy singing. And these are just some of the many reasons why I love twang. Now, we naturally configure our vocal tracks to produce twang when we make sounds like the witch's cackle, I'll get you, my pretty, and your little dog, too. Or the cat's meow, meow, meow. The baby's cry, wah, wah. The duck's quack, 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 quack. So we can use these familiar sounds to help train twang. For example, starting with the baby's cry, we can sing something like wah, 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 wah. 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 We can also sing that same exercise on a ming or a me. Ming, 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 ming. Ming, 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 ming. Me, 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 me. Me, 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 me. Now, I'll just tell you that the la or wah is going to be more conducive to chest mix or belt on account of as high first formant value, whereas the ming and the me are going to be more conducive to a head mix or a head voice. It's going to want to transition earlier on account of e's low first formant value. I would encourage you to practice both though, because you want both on your palate, and you're also going to encounter both vowels in songs. So you can also do many other exercises. You can take that bratty, teasy kind of sound, nay, 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 and you can sing something like a nay, 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 nay. You can sing the same thing with the ya, 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 ya. So you want that really bright ya, ya, ya. It's kind of a teasy kind of sound. That's twang. Now, another exercise that I like to use to introduce twang to back vowels is a nya followed by a nya. Nya, 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 nya. Nya, 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 nya. nya, 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 nya. So oftentimes our back vowels tend to get back. They sound really dark and they sound very different from our front vowels. So when we introduce a bit of twang to them, like the nya, it can keep the tongue from getting too low and pushed too far back and darkening the sound. We can also do a descending meow siren to help with the back vowels. It starts with an E, but it very quickly moves into an ow, meow kind of siren, and that's really, really useful also for helping to train those back vowels. Now, I usually ask my students to go all the way to this exaggerated version of twang to keep that factor really, really strong, and I have a couple good reasons for doing so. The first is that when they think about creating like the witch's cackle or the baby's cry, they're not actively thinking about consciously manipulating the vocal tract. Oh, I've got to narrow the upper larynx, I've got to do this, I've got to do that. They don't think about any of that. It just comes naturally for them because they're familiar with these sounds. They've made them before. And the second reason why I encourage them to do so is so that they can abandon this notion that the voice always needs to be pretty. They can lose their inhibitions and they can explore new textures and qualities and colors in their own singing. Now, ultimately, we want to be able to dial down the twang so it's not as perceptible, so that our voices aren't ugly. And so I will do this in a few different ways, one of which is taking, for example, the Ming exercise that we did a little bit ago, and singing it 3 times back to back. And with each subsequent repetition of the exercise, I dial down the perceptibility of that twang just a little bit, but I leave it in there just enough to keep the brightness and ring in the sound. Ming, 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 ming. Ming, 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 ming. Ming, 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 ming. So you can hear, I don't know how well it comes through on this camera, or this mic, but you can hear that each time it got a little bit less twangy, but I didn't completely lose it for the last repetition. And I could sing like that without being thoroughly embarrassed. Now, when creating twang, I have another pointer for you. We have to remember that twang is formed down in here. It's not formed by constricting and tensing and stressing our instrument. It's a very efficient way of producing our voices. So a lot of singers want to bunch up the tongues and tense the tongue muscles all the way down to the root, and they get this ring, 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 wah, 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 wah. And it's really, really tight through here. So remember that twang is an acoustic phenomenon, and it doesn't require a lot of effort on our part. It's actually a really easy and efficient way of singing. And if you're unable to produce twang without tensing and constricting, then just aim for bright vowels. Aim for a bright la 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 la, just crystal clear, bright la 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 la. And then twang will actually kind of come together as you just think bright and crystal clear with your diction. So this is a good start. Now you have a better understanding of what twang is, and you have several exercises that will get you going in preparation for the second video, when I'm going to do a lot more demonstration and show you how I go about applying twang, the twang that you're learning in these exercises, to the songs that you're singing.